Getting jump scared by Lorde. Alright, y'all, welcome. We are going to do something different for my channel. I've done album reviews before, but this time we want to do more of a podcast situation where we just sit and talk about Lorde. Here with bryisshy.
Hey guys, what's up?
Let's go for it. Let's get into Lorde.
I've got whole notes here.
I've written out my notes as well.
And we're ready to go, track by track.
Band for band.
So, as a longtime Lorde fan, I've been here since Melodrama. I started off listening to Melodrama back in 2017 when it first came out, and then after Melodrama, I kind of went back for back catalog, fell in love with Pure Heroine, and I've been a fan since I was 16 years old. And so, the thing with Lorde is, she releases albums in like 4-year cycles. And so every time a new Lorde album releases, it feels like you are growing up with her. She is coming into these periods of your life and is coming back with her experiences, and somehow it always relates to your experiences. As one of the defining voices of a generation, and according to the late David Bowie, she has been described as the future of music. It's been interesting to watch Lorde go through in both her sound and lyrical themes. Her debut, Pure Heroine, saw Ella encapsulate her teenage years into a record that resonates with teenagers still today, with songs like 400 Lux and White Teeth Teens, demonstrating from an early age how perfectly she can capture a moment in time. This sentiment kind of carries over in her sophomore album, Melodrama, released in 2017. It was a critical darling and a cult classic. With Lorde's music growing along with her, this album deals with a lot of experiences of heartbreak and complicated relationships within your early 20s, with hybrid songs such as Hard Feelings / Loveless portraying the difficulties of interpersonal romantic relationships. Where in the latter half of the song addresses a larger societal issue. You'll see this a lot in a lot of Lorde albums and a lot of Lorde songs. She'll go into like these really like psychological and philosophical like musings, but there's always like an element of like down to earthness that kind of brings it back down to like humble whatever she may be ruminating about. And then in 2021 she released Solar Power, which I personally love. Because I
didn't even know
Lorde.
the name of it. I called it
Solar Flare.
It sounded new, but also like Solar Flare and...
Solar Flare?
Is that what is it?
Girl, Solar Power!
My bad.
It's okay. You're good.
Listen, he had his whole backstory. My backstory is I was around for Pure Heroine when Royals and stuff was out, and then I just kind of was off into the sunset. And then I just orbited back around for Virgin. So you're kind of more into it than I am. But I do love Lorde. She's very cool.
Lorde is amazing. Let's go into track 1, Hammer.
Okay.
What did you think of track 1?
I've written down, for all of the songs, excuse me, I've written down like lyrics that I think are interesting. And so the first one that I've written down for this was, don't know if it's love or ovulation. Did you say anything about that one?
No.
I think that's just kind of the whole basis for this album, where she's kind of navigating relationships and who she should be and what she goes after. And you'll kind of see throughout the album, at least in my interpretation, how she just wants to be free, and there's not really like a set box she puts herself in. And you kind of see where that she burns a little bit because of that in some of the later songs. But I think that kind of just opens up what this album is about.
Exactly. One of the lyrics that I find the most interesting in the entire songs is, when you're holding a hammer, everything looks like a nail. This titular lyric is a reference to the famous cognitive bias concept, the law of instrument, as described by American psychologist Abraham Maslow, where he says, I suppose it is tempting, if the only tool you have is a hammer, to treat everything as if it were a nail. Within the context of the song, the following previous line, it is likely a metaphor for how Lorde feels sexually charged and is willing to be intimate with various partners. Nail, besides its literal meaning, could also mean doing the deed.
Yeah, I also wrote down, ready to feel like I don't have the answers. I think that kind of goes along with what he's saying, where she's getting around.
Yeah.
You know, everything looks like a nail. And I also wrote down, I jerk tears and they pay me to do it. I think that's kind of what she is as a musician. She's kind of the... Mac just texted me. Hey, Mac!
Hey, Mac! Hey, how's it going?
I'm busy. I'm on the clock.
We're on the clock. We're discussing Virgin.
Hey, Mac, get out.
Out.
Girls out of the room. Girls out of the room.
Sit. Go.
Now go sit in the corner and think about what you did. Okay, my face is getting so red. It's hot. It's hot in here, y'all.
As hell.
Woo! All right. But yeah, where was I? But yeah, I jerk tears and they pay me to do it. She's basically saying she gets paid to make people sad, and I think that's how she is as a musician. Charlie XCX brought it up.
And the Girl So Confusing remix.
Yeah, she's about throwing parties and Lorde's about writing poems. I've also wrote down there's peace in the madness. Again, going along with this theme of she's just wilding out this album and really just exploring, I think, her sexuality and who she is. And I also thought it was cool that she said, I sent you a postcard from the edge. There's just something about, like, she's just like, I'm on vacation and I'm just out here living life and I'll send you a postcard about how it's going.
I'll write you about my experiences. The experience could be the album. You want to move on to track 2?
Track 2.
Okay. Track 2.
What was that?
What was that?
Okay, James.
Serving as the lead single, this glitchy synth pop song acts as a rumination of previous relationship that has gone south, but a possible interpretation could be a relationship with the music industry and her fans. An interesting lyric that I found was, I cover up all the mirrors. I can't see myself yet. I wear smoke like a wedding veil. To uncover the mirrors would require Lorde to look long and hard at herself post-breakup, all the more complicated because of her grief.
There's also Broken Mirrors, where she talks about, I look into the mirror.
On the song Broken Glass.
Yeah. See, I'm losing it, bro.
You're good. You're all good.
It's Mac, bro. She threw me off.
Mac, what is up?
Go sit!
Say it. Go sit in the corner and think about what you did.
Don't bother mommy when she's talking about Lorde.
It's that Sims meme.
Mac is the baby on fire.
Oh, Lord.
We have fun here.
We do. We sure do. Hey, it's not a company, it's a family. For real, for real. I think the most prominent lyric is in the final line of the chorus where she says, since I was 17, I gave you everything. Now we wake from a dream. Well, baby, what was that? Although this is a breakup song, this line could also be about giving everything to the industry and the world as a whole. To be a public figure in both private and public relationships, it becomes a very raw and intense relationship with the exterior and the interior. She's always given so much to everyone in terms of her lyrical vulnerability since the very start, yet that same response from the audience hasn't been consistent from album to album. The commercial success of Pure Heroine, the critical success of Melodrama, and the mixed reception from Solar Power. She's given us everything, but where were we during the Solar Power era? She's yearning for that same energy again, and we gave her from the Pure Heroine and Melodrama albums. And so she's kind of like craving that experience again of being receptive from the fans and critics.
That's interesting, because I wrote the same lyric, but I had a different interpretation. But I'm like you, I think there's so many moments in this album where she's talking about someone, and it can go either way. It's like, is she talking about a person, or is she talking about like just fame in general? Is she talking to us? And I kind of like it being open-ended, where it's like it could be
either interpretation.
Yeah. And so I wrote down the same lyric since I was 17, and the way I interpret this song is looking back on a relationship and thinking, well, what was that? Like, you kind of build it up in your head and you romanticized what it was in the moment. And like, I've been there at times where you like look back and you're like, I was crazy.
Wow, who was I during that period?
What was that?
Who was that?
And yeah, I think it kind of ties into yours too, where it's like maybe she did kind of romanticize that era, and she's looking back and
wondering what happened.
What was that?
Track 3, Shapeshifter. I'm super excited about this one. I feel like this one is the most lyrically rich one.
Yeah, I wrote down a lot for this one.
Yeah. Leaning back into previous theme, this next track sees Lorde as like a shapeshifter of changing identities and personal relationships, which could lead to possible miscommunication and everyone's favorite, mixed signals. The first lyric I have down is, everyone that I've slept with, all the pairs of hands. I'm reckless if I'm fine without it, why can't I stop? I've actually done some research about what this is. It's an artwork titled Everyone I've Ever Slept With, 1963 to 1995, by artist Tracy Emin. It is a tent covered with 102 names of people that the artist had slept with, either romantically or in the literal sense. The tent represents the intimate connections that have shaped Emmons over the course of her life. Lorde references the artwork in her interview with Zane Lowe, suggesting that her past and present lovers have left an indelible mark on her life, even though she is using sex as a coping mechanism.
I was along the same lines of that in my interpretation. I think the song in general is about what he said, where she's kind of having all of these partners romantically or literally, and there's also this sense of like she's trying to change who she is for each one. And that is something else I've noticed within the album, where there's times where she's like, okay, I'm shape-shifting, I'm trying to be this person. I think I wrote down how she said, I've been the siren, I've been the saint, where she's like, I've been this, sexually active person, but I've also been the saint. And I think she's trying to change who she is to appeal to all of these people. And she's saying, like, I've been so many people, but there's also this sense of, like, if I'm someone else, then it's not as personal. She's almost creating a boundary with these people where it's like, if I'm someone else, they don't know the real me, so the real me can't be affected. Like, when she said, give them nothing personal, so I'm not affected. So she's kind of building up these personas and being like, well, that's not me, and not truly being vulnerable with these people. Yeah, if I'm fine without it, why can't I stop? I thought that was interesting, where she seems to have convinced herself, like, I'm not giving them anything personal, I'm not being affected by this. But then it's like, why can't I stop? Why can't I just be truthful? And why can't I just be myself in these relationships?
I also think it's interesting that Lorde discusses how our identity also shapeshifts throughout the majority of the song, in terms of both personal identity, but also how she portrays herself in these relationships. You kind of see this like this common thread for songs like Hammer, where she says, some days I'm a woman, some days I'm a man. And then you see it with the next track, Man of the Year.
I'm excited for Man of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into it. Me and my father issues cannot wait. It's alright, laugh.
It's okay, laugh.
Yeah, just laugh. Lorde, literally Lorde.
As the second single of the album, this song takes great advantage in the sparse production and landscape, allowing the listener to take in the lyrics as the song continues to build and build into a very climactic outro, which I find personally reminiscent of David Bowie. The cover of the track was teased at Lorde's Met Gala appearance earlier this year, when she binded her chest with duct tape, a statement of her broadening approach to gender expression. In the song, she says, gliding through on my bike, gliding through like new from my recent ego death. And ego death is the death of your individual identity, a dissolution of oneself, which is often caused by psychedelic drugs. In a 2025 interview, I think this was the Met Gala where she said this. Pause. No, it's not.
Right. You just lied.
I just lied bold-faced on camera.
Why would you just lie to our audience like that?
Okay, moving on. Next line. You can kind of see a rebirth in this song, like this feeling of rebirth, where she says, take my knife and I cut the cord. My babe can't believe I've become someone else, someone more like myself. This metaphorical rebirth that Lorde is undergoing is by cutting the umbilical cord. She's transforming into someone else, and in these moments of solace, Lorde is asking rhetorical questions about self-love and self-acceptance of herself.
Yeah, I noticed she mentioned siren again. There's another siren imagery for you that kind of ties in the Shapeshifter. We wrote down another similar lyric. I said, my babe can't believe I become someone else, someone more like myself. And the way I interpret it was a lot like you, but also maybe this is the mask coming down from Shapeshifter, where it's like she found someone that maybe she's trying to be more vulnerable with, maybe trying to be less personified and trying to be someone that she's not. And it's like, he can't believe that this is the real me. And maybe in a way she's saying that it kind of backfired, like I'm being vulnerable and now this person can't believe that this is the real me, because maybe they fell for that romanticized siren that she keeps talking about. And men just being men, what can I say?
Yeah, this song really blew up on TikTok for... Initially, the song is generally about her gender expression and how she kind of wants to, like, test the boundaries of her gender. But on TikTok, the song kind of took on a different meaning, where you see multiple women and people coming out about their experiences with their terrible boyfriends, terrible husbands, and just kind of exposing them for being really bad people.
And that's just the beauty of art. There's so many ways you can take a certain song.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting to do an album review with a different person, because it's been cool to see how we interpret this differently.
And like different interpretations.
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. One lyric that really stuck out to me in the song was, "How I hope I'm remembered, my gold chain, my shoulders, my face in the light." Here she's picturing what a version of herself as a man would look like. She mentions in an interview of what that would look like for her. She says, "I pictured the person I wanted to be singing that song on a stage in front of people. It was me in my jeans, and I wanted to be shirtless, just in a chain in my jeans. But I wanted some sort of coverage and something to sort of hint that I'm binding. I went to the cupboard, got the tape out, and I did it to myself. I have this picture staring at myself. It scared me what I saw. I didn't understand it, but I felt something bursting out of me. There was this violence to it." I just think that's really interesting of like how she's like experimenting with her gender like in this way. I think she still identifies as a cis woman, but like just to see her like test out her gender expression and kind of normalizing it for people, I think that's really cool and really like brave of her to do. Very commendable.
Me as a man, I'd be the exact same. I'd be sitting here in a Buc-ee's hat.
Yeah.
With a "Don't Mess with Texas" shirt on.
Amen to that. I'll let you go off with this one.
Okay. I'm getting the reins on this one. Favorite daughter. Okay. So I think this one, I interpret it as she is maybe talking about the audience, but maybe also talking about someone else specifically. And one of the lines I wrote was, "And every night the room fills up with people who are convinced I'm not." So I think this is kind of the glorification of celebrities, where it's like, I'm in a room full of people who do not think I'm a person. Mm-hmm. But you also see this element of overworking to prove herself. I tell myself that soon we'll talk, but I sing every word just to, I forgot what I wrote down. But yeah, she's saying that like, I promised myself that we're going to talk about this, but then I just go and write a song about it and go to what I'm used to. And I think this does pop up a couple of times where you see her like kind of relay and rely on her art to get through certain things. Mm-hmm. And also, why did you have to dream so big? I thought this was interesting because, again, it's like, is there a specific person that's putting all this pressure on her, or is this a bigger thing where it's like, she's kind of calling us out, and it's like, why did you have to dream so big? Why do I have to live to these inhuman, insane standards and be this pop star? Mm-hmm. And the last thing I wrote was, breaking my back just to be as brave as my mother, which was kind of insane. What do you think of that line?
I think that's kind of the defining line of the song, because the way I read it throughout my interpretation of it, this is definitely a song about like a parental figure, or in this case, her mother. I said this song is kind of about the realm of fame, parental relationships, and what I coined the burnout gifted kid experience.
For real.
Through a catchy and boppy production, she kind of mass lyrics that show like this, these resentful attitudes she has towards both this parental figure and the public. She says, "'Cause I'm an actress, all of the medals I won for ya, breaking my back just to be your favorite daughter." With these two lines, audience kind of captured a glimpse into like the family dynamics, where she's achieving such high acclaim at a young age. She won like 2 Grammys at like 17. That kind of sets a precedent for Lorde to achieve more and push her like creative boundaries further.
It's got to be crazy too. I think about with like Billie Eilish too, where you're just a pop star at 14. Not that I know anything about success, but once you do the Grammys and stuff, there's got to be like you're like, where do I go from here? Like, where's the roof? What else can I accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. That's just me and my psychology degree talking.
Me and my English degree too. Hey, both college educated.
Hey, you wouldn't believe it.
Put the degrees on screen.
We dox ourselves.
This is the university we go to. This is the address of the university. This is my department right here.
This is our mascot.
Hey, go ahead, and I'm going to drop the emails of my professors in here and give them a shout out.
You would not believe that we are college educated.
Surprisingly.
You wouldn't believe that we're educated at all.
No. hey, walnut brain right here.
Just the two of us.
Mm-hmm. Two brain cells coming together.
One walnut between us. We're family here, folks. We're family.
Hey, it's a family, not a business. It's a family.
What business is this? What business?
The bullshitting business.
What business we got sitting down talking about Lorde and putting it on the internet?
Two Americans.
It's the 4th of July, by the way.
Yeah, this is why we got the attire right here. I have my sunglasses somewhere over there. I don't know where they went.
Lana Del Rey's day.
Mm-hmm. This is Lana Del Rey day.
She was one of the founding fathers.
She was.
Founding mothers.
Founding mothers. So back to favorite daughter. Coming from a bloodline of creative, Lorde was kind of given these opportunities to flourish with her own art. Yet we as the audience can like pick up on the sentiment that Lorde compares herself to these creatives in her life. Her mother is actually an accomplished poet. I've done some research on like Lorde's family. Her mother is like a very accomplished poet, like in New Zealand, went to school and everything for it. And so you kind of see this like sentiment of like wanting to be like her, wanting to appease her, wanting to like reach the same level as success as her mother. And the most interesting thing about the favorite daughter track was how she flips every single last line of the chorus, where she says, breaking my back just hoping you'll say I'm a star, breaking my back just to carry the weight of your heart, breaking my back just to be as brave as my mother. Within the very last line of each chorus, Lorde spectacularly flips the phrasing of each line, each having a different meaning. The first line referring to the pressure of fame, the second being the emotional burden of comparison, and finally an admission to where this weight is coming from.
On the current affairs.
Oh Lord.
Casual Affairs by Panic at the Disco. Y'all, I hate to say it, but I did have a Panic at the Disco phase.
Bebo.
Everyone was doing it. What the?
Excuse you?
The whole set's falling apart.
Damn.
The whole set is falling apart.
I just moved like an inch. Hold on.
Holy smokes. This is what we get for bringing up Brendan Urie. It's freaking cursed. Not a Panic at the Disco fan.
Anymore.
Yes.
Anymore. Now, the old Panic at the Disco, Brian Ross.
Well, yes.
Yes. 9 in the afternoon. That's where it kind of like just stops for like all the good music.
Cut off.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Wait, is it 9? No, it's Pretty Odd. Damn. That's the album. That's the album title. Damn. Fake fan.
I thought you were talking about the song.
No. Pretty Odd is the album. Why did I... Moving on. You
had your solar flare moment.
Yeah, we're even. Current affairs. Boy, does this song have some baggage. As an emotionally raw song, Lorde ruminates on a past relationship that has gone wrong, blaming the entire interaction on current affairs. She says, knew when I felt it hit, sit in the park under the eclipse. It was only a field trip till it cooled my blood. Then someone froze a flare. You tasted my and I knew we were. Lorde illustrates at the beginning of this relationship, likely one formed when Lorde was out of the spotlight. After having a sexual experience with this person, she comes to the realization that this relationship might not last due to its lust-filled nature. She says, my bed is on fire. Mama, I'm so scared. Don't know how to come back. Once I get out on the edge, he spit in my mouth. He's saying a prayer. But now I'm crying on the phone, swearing nothing's wrong. In typical Lorde fashion, as I mentioned before, we see her begin to ponder complex philosophical ideas that are later shut down by down-to-earth dismissals that shrug off the seriousness of her thoughts. We see this in previous songs in her discography, like Stone in the Nail Salon or A World Alone.
You had more lyrics down than I did. I kind of saw it as maybe the result of the mindset that she had in previous songs, where everything leading up until this song, where it's like everything's kind of loosey-goosey, I'm just sleeping around, like nothing personal. And then this is maybe the crash out from that, where it's like I realized that there's nothing solid in this relationship because I kind of made it that way, like focused too much on the lust and not the love.
She blames it on current affairs. Now, what is current affairs that she's referring to? The current affairs in question could be a reference to the other themes swirling around on the album that Lorde addresses, often focusing on modern-day society at large, that redefines and perpetuates the intricacies of interpersonal relationships of romantic, sexual, and emotional degrees.
Alright, so I'm going to say what I wrote down. The line that kind of called to me was, I'm nobody's daughter, baby, I'm free. Maybe a callback to Favorite Daughter, where she's kind of realizing, like, I don't have to live up to these expectations. I don't have to be the favorite daughter. I'm nobody's daughter. And then there's also a line where she says, I lied and then I came clean. I got reminded of Shapeshifter again, and this theme of, like, not necessarily lying, but maybe false advertising who she is, and trying to be more truthful. And then another one, the parent issue ones are really sticking out to me. Not that I have any problem with my mom, it's more so my father. But I also wrote down, there's broken blood in me. It passed through my mother, from her mother down to me. Generational trauma, kids, I see you, we're with you. That is all.
Yeah, I think the song Clearblue is the most experimental one in her work so far, because it's mainly just her vocals over a vocoder, and like that's the only instrument in the song, so it kind of like has this element of just being raw and like this vulnerability that we haven't seen from her before. That
in itself is, you got to be pretty confident to do that, because, you know, coming from someone who plays instruments and does bands and stuff.
Keep the drums.
Yeah, that's covered with Lorde right now. When you play with more people, you can get away with a lot more. Like, you know, it kind of blends in, and there's other people to pick up. And even not in live band situations, just more elements in a song, you can kind of be more loosey-goosey, I guess. But her just using her voice, I feel like people are either going to really love it or really hate it, and she took a jump with that. But you really like this one, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I think, like, it's definitely a risky move to, like, put out a song that's so short and, like, so bare in production. But I think it pays off in this one, because you can really feel the emotion coming off of this one.
Artistic choices. I'm sure some man's probably ripping it right now, I'm sure.
Clearblue. Best one. Well, not the best one, but...
Mac, again! She's coming to my No, not my house!
She says, I know your location.
No, not my house!
Not my house. No, I know no one.
Alright, I'm getting a home intruder later.
Alrighty. Alright, track 8. Get Ready With Me. Or in other words, Grown Woman. Well, the first lyric is soap.
Melanie Martinez?
Hey!
Oh, I'm getting canceled. And Mac's coming to my house!
Soap. Washing him off my chest. In the physical sense... In the sense that...
You know what I mean?
In the sense that... Okay, I'm not... No. I got Genius pulled up.
I don't think we can talk about that on YouTube. Alright, so Get Ready With Me, or Grown Woman. This one was interesting. This was clever, because it's like, I think people our age are going to automatically think Get Ready With Me, but she also talks about grown woman. You know, a grown woman and a baby's tea. I kind of interpret that as kind of this weird purgatory of wanting to be a kid, or feeling like a kid, but also wanting to be a grown woman, or having pressure to be mature. Because in itself, Get Ready With Me is this kind of immature YouTube thing, and I know about being an immature YouTuber on the internet.
And TikToker.
Paralleled with this grown woman, where it's like, again, this parallel between something that's maybe more immature versus something more mature. Since 96, been looking for a grown woman. So Lorde, this was my research, was actually born in 96. So she's saying since she was born, she was looking for a grown woman. There's kind of two ways to take this, two ways that I looked at it. Trying to find that grown woman in herself, like being forced to grow up quickly. Or you can also find that as trying to find a stable mother figure in her life. Like she's trying to find a stable grown woman in her life.
Just like a general, like, female presence in her life that she could look up to and like as a role model almost.
Yeah. And maybe the lack of that is causing her to be the like stable figure herself. And maybe you finally know who you want to be, a grown woman and a baby T. So the way I thought of this lyric is she's realizing that she's kind of both. Kind of realizing that like I'm immature in a lot of ways. I got my baby T on, but I'm also being forced to be a grown woman in some ways.
You can move on to Broken Glass.
Broken Glass?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I think this one is the most significant song on the album in terms of lyric. Like, Shapeshifter was like lyrically dense and lyrically rich. I think this one has the most important message out of the entire album because it's mainly about self-hatred that someone might have with their body, especially in like the public light, and like coming to terms with like loving who you are and loving who your body, because you only get one.
It's interesting, the repeated she in this song. And again, it's something that pops up in this entire album where it's like there's multiple answers to who this person might be. And you could say that this she is the mom, you know, the pressure that the mom has put onto her to be the favorite daughter, to be a grown woman. But because she said, I want to punch the mirror, you can also say that this she is her, that she has put pressure on herself. And maybe that's kind of a piggybacking off of the mom. You know, the mom puts a lot of pressure on her, therefore she puts a lot of pressure on herself. So they're both the she. How's that one for a psychology degree? It might be months of bad luck, but what if it's just broken glass? I think this is her saying that, like, I've been putting so much thought into my life. I've been overthinking everything. I think everything has ulterior motive. But what if it's just broken glass? You know, what if it's nothing? What if I'm putting too much pressure, too much thought into this, and it's just broken glass?
It kind of plays on like this superstition that like, broken glass, breaking a mirror is bad luck, and there's kind of like this like hesitation about wanting to like break barriers. Like it kind of plays into that a bit, and so like she just calls it out what it is. What if it's just broken glass?
What's the TikTok thing? Sometimes
the curtains are just blue.
Sometimes the curtains are just blue.
That's the case sometimes, for real.
Not always, though. Sometimes y'all just don't want to think critically, and it's kind of sad.
And that's a conversation for another day.
That's a whole different podcast.
Stay tuned for next episode. Next song, If She Could See Me Now.
If She Could See Me, again, we have a she reference. You can connect that to the she in Broken Glass if you want to. It's really cool how there's reoccurring themes in this album. I like when albums do that. It kind of feels like it's the same story, the same cohesiveness.
There's a lot of lyrical connections in this album, like a lot. And
she made a reference to another song. I have no idea what this means, but I picked up on, she said, got me lifted, feeling so gifted, which is a Sugar reference. Sugar, how'd you get so fly? Yesterday lifted your body weight, I thought was an interesting line where she's kind of using the gym as a way to get through these feelings, which I'm sure most people, I don't go to the gym, but I've heard people do that.
I think that also ties back into Broken Glass, talking about like body image and like counting calories, exercising, the arithmetic she mentions back in Broken Glass, where it's just this constant need to be in control of your body. She kind of teases with the Girl So Confusing remix, where she talks about a little bit of like her a possible ED, and so it's kind of like interesting to see how this like plays out in the latter half of the album.
Another line that made me think of Broken Glass was, I pick a song and listen to it till it's just a piece of music. Much like It's Just Broken Glass, I think she's trying to say, like, I'm just going to work through this until it's nothing. I'm just going to work through it until I don't have that emotional connection to it anymore. And then also, hope you find another starlet, another camera, another red carpet. This might be a callback to Favorite Daughter, where either the pressure on put on by the mother or the audience, where it's like, I hope you move on to someone else. Like, I'm not the favorite daughter. I'm not this person you think that I am. Like, just go find someone else.
Mm-hmm. I think the line immediately after that where she says, as for me, I'm going back to the clay, you can kind of see some imagery there of where, like, we build up these celebrities literally from the ground up, and, like, it's all about her relationship with, like, fame and, like, publicity and the public, where we kind of see her trying to retreating back, wanting to, like, step away from that. That was the biggest theme, I think, on Solar Power, where her whole thing was, I'm in my granola era, I'm throwing my phone into the ocean, no one can reach me. But in this era, we kind of see her, like, go back online, join TikTok, where she's kind of, like, re-entering, like, this, like, public sphere. And so it's kind of interesting to see, like, how she has both sentiments at the same time, where, like, she wants to be away from the public, or, oh, I do want to be in the public. We kind of see her going back and forth with that. And this line kind of accentuates that.
I think going back to the clay thing, I think it's what you meant, like, literally bringing people into fame, but also literally kind of building a person out of clay, like, metaphorically. Like, you kind of turn these people into idols. K-pop Demon Hunters reference for y'all. But yeah, I think we do kind of turn celebrities into people that they're not. Because we don't know these people, but we like to think that we do, and we think that they're perfect, but they're people.
Also, this just popped into my head, but I thought of the Man of the Year music video where we see her, like, in this, like, giant room of dirt, and, like, her kind of returning to the clay in a sense, too. Like, it just popped in my head. I was like, oh, Man of the Year video. Like, she kind of explores that. Last song on the album, unless you had any more fonts.
That's it. That's all I got.
Last song
I'm still stuck
the
on
album.
Matt coming to my house.
She's here.
She come join the video.
The voices.
The voices. I'll be at your house. What?
Alrighty. Last song.
I think him and I both love David.
This is my favorite.
Yeah.
My two favorites, well, I have three favorites. Hammer, Shapeshifter, and David. David, I just love David so much. Who's David in the song, who she's referring to? We have no idea. I've dug and dug and dug for research on who this David character might be. We have no idea. Unless you do.
I did not look into it.
We have no idea who David is.
My fault. My bad.
That Kiki Palmer clip. I don't know who this man is.
He could be walking down the street and I wouldn't know a thing.
Sorry to this man.
Sorry to David. So, a line I picked up on in David was, I don't belong to anyone. A common trend we see in this album, where I think she tried to live up to the expectations of romantic partners, friends even, or her mom, where everyone in her life, she feels like she has to be something or be someone and kind of change and cater to whoever she's with. And then kind of mid-album, we see where she's like, I don't belong to anyone. I'm nobody's daughter. And really stepping into who she wants to be and less about what other people want her to be. And you kind of see her relationships in real life, but there's also this element of how she views herself as a celebrity, and maybe kind of calling out her fans too, where it's like, I don't necessarily owe these people anything. I don't have to be this perfect celebrity. And once I could sing again, I swore I'd never let myself sing again for you. Kind of a reference to Favorite Daughter, where we see where she's very performative, and maybe uses her music to work through and communicate how she's feeling. But now she's saying, like, once I could sing again, once I stepped into my power, I swore I would never sing for you again. Like, I'm not gonna perform and be someone for someone else. Like, I'm just gonna do art for me.
Mm-hmm.
Another line that stood out to me was, I made you God because it was all that I knew how to do. As someone with parental issues myself, I get that, where it's like, parents are all that you've known, and this is getting real, but when they, even if you know that they've done a bad thing, my dad, you kind of fall back on that kid-like mentality where it's like, because you are my parent, or because you're in my life, I want to think of you as this God, because that's all I've ever known, because that's how you're raised, you know?
Yeah.
That got real. What's your thoughts?
You're good. You're all good. I kind of understand, like, I understand where you're coming from, like, having this presence in your life that you, like, look up to, and then, like, you kind of see it in a song where, like, these imperfections start to come out, and you're realizing, like, oh, shoot, this isn't the person who I once had, like, these rose-colored glasses with. Like, they're not the person that I look up to. Everyone's flawed. And so she's kind of, like, deconstructing this idea of the person who she's addressing to in the song. And it's like, she talks about one of the, like, my favorite lyrics of the song where she says, pure heroin mistaken for featherweight.
Pure heroin?
Mm-hmm. It's a pure heroin reference. And when I first, like, heard that lyric, I was like, whoa, we're getting, like, back to the beginning.
She's going back to the clay.
Yeah, she's going back to the clay, for real. And so we kind of see, like, this person who was, like, in a presence in such her, like, so early in her life during the pure heroin era, which I'm guessing is what this is about. We see her, how she is, like, when you're at that age, you're, like, naive, looking up to, like, a person, whoever might that be, and, like, the relationships and, like, you form at that age. And so she's kind of, like, growing out of that, deconstructing of what she sees in this person, and this is kind of, like, the moment where she, like, breaks free.
Yeah, I think in every sort of relationship you come across in life, I think when you're young, you think perfection exists. Like, you think maybe people older than you or someone can be perfect, but then as you get older and mature and recognize these red flags, you realize, like, there is no perfection. Like, everyone has their red flags.
I think she really ends the song on a somber note where she says, am I ever going to love again? Am I ever going to love again?
Dude,
that's very, like, looking at the mirror, looking at, like, what, it's almost like an uncertainty to it.
Yeah.
But the last line, the very last line, is what I find the most interesting, where she says, tell it to him, which I interpret it kind of as, we see this, like, theme of rebirth throughout the entire album, and we see her play with her gender, we see her play with, like, who she is as a person outside of everything, out of relationships, everything. This is her coming to herself as a new person. You don't tell it to me, you tell it to this new person that I am. I think that's a very impactful and incredible way to end an album.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes along, I just thought of this on the spot. If this, like, she is her, it kind of ties along into this separate identity. Like, she's kind of splitting, if you interpret it this way, but she's kind of making a different person of herself, like a different identity.
Yeah. And that's the album.
And that's it on Virgin by Lorde.
One of the best albums of the year of 2025. Like, this is probably going to end up being my, like, album of the year.
It's going to be Breach by 21 Pilots for me, baby.
Number 2.
I got to stay on brand.
We need to come back for Breach.
If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe to join the Groovy Graveyard. Shout out to bryisshy over here. Go subscribe to him as well. Shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. I'm going to put on screen right here. And I guess Mac is coming over.
Sometime. Hail.
And I'll see you in the next one.
Alright, see you again.